Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our scenario is entitled A Trick of the Light. It was written by Janice Hill, and she is GMing it for us. Mick Swan will be giving the recap as his character Preston Barkley. This is episode 2. Jazz is on the rise. The players are ready. Let's begin our journey into the darkness. Mick?
Thank you. What a week it's been. I partnered up with Manhattan Harry, Corky Matthews, and Larry the Frog to take some sap for 4 large on a moody bond deal. Harry and Corky were off to Atlantic City, and Larry was visiting his folks in that creepy old place of theirs up past Ipswich. I didn't think much of either option, so I decided to ankle over to the rent party at my old friend Pearlie was throwing downtown. Everything was copacetic. I was sitting pretty, but I still had the feeling that there were eyes on me after that caper, so I took the long route by way of Benny's and picked up a bottle of Brown on the way. By the time I hit the rub, the joint was jumping. All sorts of hopped-up cats hoofing and making whoopee, the air thick with cigarette smoke, and over it all that sweet, stomping, devilish rhythm. It was so thick with bodies in there that I had a hard time finding anyone I knew. But as I was throwing some kale in the collection plate, I bumped into my old buddy Gerard. He's a real live wire, that one. We punched the bag a while, but it looked like his main meal for the night was impressing some dame from the papers who he hoped might give him a good write-up for his art. You know these artists. He's a couple of steaks short of a barbecue, and I kind of think he might be a 3-letter man. But he's a good fella, and I've got plenty of time for old Frenchie. Over on the other side of the room, I spotted Diz Ardizoni, what you might call an old business acquaintance of mine, but he kind of blew me off and pretended not to know me and gave me the icy mitt at first. Now, you know me, I ain't the kind to take offense, but I was a little hurt is all. I figured it had something to do with the fella he was with, some sharp-looking type from south of the border who looked straight through me. My guess is Diz's connection, you know. I guess he's looking to up his action a bit and didn't want me sticking my snout in his trough. Anyway, he passed me a reefer and we chewed the fat a little, but I got the feeling it was best to move on and mind my own beeswax. I milled about for a while, soaking up the scene, smoking that jive and knocking back a jaw of mesquite before Pearlie and the boys struck up a game with some hot jazz. I got swept up in it and made a bit of a putz of myself, gushing at Frankie and Johnny, the horn players. I guessed it was time to go outside and take the air for a while, and by the look of things, I wasn't the only one. Pearlie was looking rough, kind of tired, not his usual self at all. I got to talking with that Dame Maggie, the one Frenchie was so keen to impress, but I kept cavey. I'm not sure about those newspaper types. You never know when they might smell a story, and in my line of work, that could make a lot of trouble. Properly aired, we all headed back inside for a snort or two to round off the night. Frenchie disappeared off into Pearlie's flop and came back with a couple of bottles of Mother's Ruin. Things thinned out a bit, and we wound up just the last handful of us sitting around, nursing our drinks and counting out the night's take as Pearlie, wearily, fessed up about the stew he'd gotten himself into. I'm a bit hazy about what happened next. Maybe it was the booze or the jive, but somehow we all ended up staring at this screwy-looking painting of a broad perched on a bed. Okay if you like that kind of thing, but it weren't my cup of joe. This next bit you ain't gonna believe. We stood there looking at this thing when it starts to move. I ain't kidding. The dame turns round, looks right at me as these things start moving towards her from the shadows and says, "Help me." Let me tell you, I've smoked the best stuff from Tijuana. I've smoked proper pen yen in those Chinese dives in Red Hook. But hell's teeth, I ain't never seen nothing like that. What makes it even stranger is that the others saw it too. Everyone but Frenchie, he didn't know what the hell we were talking about. I turned it over to try and figure out what the trick was, but it was just a painting. Just an ordinary painting. Johnny poked Pearlie about the picture and said he wound up owing something on a dice game and was told to deliver it to work off his debt. He goes on to tell Maggie that he thinks he knew the woman in the picture, one of Lily Oleander's girls by all accounts. Some Jill who went missing a while back, so he thinks. He's supposed to deliver it to some swell up in Beacon Hill by the name of Stone. He looks worried. Properly worried. Not like Pearlie at all. It looks like our pal's got himself into a lava over this, and could be this Jane's in the soup too. Now, I ain't no knight in shining armor, not by a long chalk, but I says we got to do something about this. So it looks like I've gone and got myself signed up in this caper. Jeez, I sure know how to pick 'em, don't I?
Thank you very much, Mick. Awesome. Janice.
Well, you folks are the last to leave the party. And eventually, people will want to start getting back to their own digs and getting some sleep. Pearlie looks pretty done in. He's kind of on his last legs. And eventually, you all will trickle out. He will stop and chat very briefly with Frankie and John before they leave. And then you folks are all out on the stoop, saying your goodbyes, shaking hands, and one presumes at least making plans to meet sometime the next day, probably late afternoon since it's early morning and you've been up all night. Maggie seems to be the one sort of taking the lead on most of this. So Maggie, do you have a convenient place you'd like to get together with everyone later in the afternoon?
Yeah. Maggie says, I think we should all meet up. There won't be anyone at the Globe's offices if we all want to meet up there. If any of you, have a location, but I think we're all agreed that we need to help this girl.
Okay.
Is everyone else amenable to this plan?
What time do you want to get together?
I need some sleep. Shall we meet up maybe 3-4 o'clock this afternoon?
Oui. Angelique, I shall come by around 2 o'clock and help you clean up. It's time to go to bed.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. And I go just down to the basement apartment.
What about you lot there? And she
If
kind of
anybody wants to crash on my, if anybody wants to crash on my couch, you're welcome.
I've got an appointment with my bed.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon sounds good.
So where are we meeting?
If everyone's okay, we can meet at the Globe's office. We're centrally located, so I feel like that would be a good location. If we need to do more research, that would be a good place to start.
Okay.
I need to work through some of this. That name on the painting sounds familiar, but I need to be sure about that. So I'm going to look up a little bit more on that. Does anyone have any contacts in Beacon Hill? I'm sure I could find someone to get in with, but
yeah, I know one or two people I can still talk to up there. Maybe.
Oh, good.
Maybe I know someone who knows someone. I don't know. I'll phone around. I'll see what I can turn over.
You're just quite the social butterfly, aren't you, Mr. Barkley?
Yes, yeah. My life is one terrific social whirl.
Indeed.
And with that, I'm going to turn up my collar and trudge off home.
Okay. And I expect to see the rest of you there?
Yeah.
We're going to be there.
I think we're all agreed we need to
at 5 o'clock, right?
Let's meet
at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
And
around 6, beauty rest.
Let's meet at 4 p.m.
you
All right.
say 4 p.m.?
So I'm.
See you later.
All right.
Yes,
So
4
I'll.
You guys are making too much noise out there. Go to bed.
All right. Maggie's gonna grab a cab. Is anyone going? Anyone going uptown?
Town is too ritzy for me.
Oh.
And I'm heading the opposite direction.
Oh, I see. Well, I will bid you adieu then. She'll get in the cab and drive off.
Yep. All right. So I head off.
All right. Well, given how late you were up, all of you can go to your various residences and certainly fall into bed and get some sleep. Wake up a few hours later, grab a bite to eat. Depending on what time you think you're likely to be waking up, you may have an hour or two on your own if there's anything you want to do before you meet with Maggie over at the newspaper office.
I'm gonna make one of those concoctions with Worcester sauce and tomato juice and lighter fluid and stuff that you drink after a night on the town, and some
Raw egg.
cayenne pepper and a raw egg, yeah, and some
Around
uranium,
Around
a
2
bit
o'clock
of radium.
to make it
healthy.
glow. Yes.
Yeah,
I will show up back at Pearlie's apartment upstairs and help Angelique clean up the place. She's probably not even up yet, but I don't sleep much.
All right. Yeah, it's kind of a disaster there, as you can imagine, because people left everything scattered around. There's glassware, furniture has to get moved back. Certainly there'll be people's hats that have been left behind, and big lost and found pile.
Typical of the usual party.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a little crazier last night because people started seeing pictures moving.
Yeah. And Angelina is definitely a bit hungover from her imbibing, so she's moving a little slow. Pearlie apparently is still asleep. He's probably not going to be up until late afternoon, early evening-ish.
One of these days, you should figure out to do something with all these extra bottles. Like maybe reuse them. Recycle them.
Well, the bootleggers will pick them up.
Yeah. It will be... Oh, the bootleggers will probably bring more alcohol. Well, that's all I have to say. It's just walking around picking up bottles, throwing them in. They didn't even have trash bags, did they?
Not really.
If you just toss them in the dumpster outside.
Yeah, or there's probably a wooden crate to pile all those in and set them out by the stoop. So either the rag and bone man or the bootleggers will pick it up to refill them. And yeah, you can spend most of your afternoon helping her straighten up, and then you can head over to the Globe about 3 o'clock, 3:30. It's across town, so you'll have to either catch the trolley or walk, since your funds are probably precluding you taking a taxi cab unless you want to pool with a couple of other people.
How long would it take me to walk?
Oh, maybe 45 minutes, about an hour.
Yeah, I'll walk.
Yeah. Stretch your legs, clear your head.
I'm, of course, dressed in something weird. But
Outrageous.
Boob tube and a grass skirt.
Not that weird. But, probably have my fluffy my fluffy coat with my walking cane.
Frank and John, are you folks going to mostly just sleep the afternoon away? Is there anything else you want to do before you meet with Maggie?
Well, I'll meet up with Frankie. I guess we'll both maybe go Dutch on a taxi or something.
Okay.
I was thinking I probably have a car for getting the band around from gig to
Oh,
gig.
right, yeah. So you can swing by and pick him up.
Yeah, I could do that.
Oh yeah, that works out a lot better.
Yeah,
Means I could sleep a little later,
exactly.
like maybe another 10 minutes in.
Yeah, I don't really have any other plans. I'll
But
just
yeah.
sleep late and get up, and maybe hit the little greasy spoon on the corner and have some light breakfast, and then head over and pick up Johnny.
Okay. How about you, Diz?
If I like,
I'm staying downtown hotel, so I will walk over to the Globe.
Okay.
At the appointed time.
So it looks like most everyone's going to convene pretty much right around 4 o'clock. I'm assuming that Maggie's going to set aside a private meeting room or some place where you guys can be fairly undisturbed.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll make sure that there's. I mean, no one's probably going to be really in there because it's Saturday and Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Everyone's pretty much cleared out. So.
All right. Well, they will come in dribs and drabs, most of them fairly on time. Gerard probably fashionably late.
By about
Early
15 minutes, yes.
Present.
Okay. So everyone's in the room. Maggie's going to say, before I went to bed, I called around because that name was just stuck with me, and I was sure that I had heard it before, of the name of the painter, J. Lambert. And then the name came to me. It was Jeremiah Lambert. I've never actually seen any of this man's work before, but he he was part of a scandal, I suppose, in the Boston art world a few years ago, 1924. It was somewhat of a shocking incident. I don't really know a whole lot about the situation, but from what I can gather from people that were present, was that he was related somehow to a gentleman named, let me see if I have my notes here, Robert Upton Pickman. Pickman, I guess, was, I suppose, a surrealist of some sort. He painted some disturbing art that quite upset the art club at the time. Lambert, who I suppose was a protege of this Mr. Pickman, was defending him at the board of the art club, and they didn't like that, so they kicked him out. So they kicked out Pickman, and Lambert resigned afterwards. All I really could find out about the situation was that Pickman and Lambert had some sort of falling out, as artists tend to do, and they parted company, and that's as far as I can get. No one really knows what happened to Pickman after that, and I haven't heard anything about Lambert either. So that's about as far as I got in my research before I crashed.
Janice, have I ever seen a Pickman?
Make a roll, maybe. If you move in the Boston art circles.
Well, I have for a little while, at least visiting museums and things.
Galleries and such.
How did you get in here? Oh, my dog. 43. What was I rolling against?
Just kind of a general have I seen that kind of role? You probably heard some rumblings about the kind of the scandal with him being booted out of the Boston Art Club. It's kind of a very Tony sort of prestigious organization.
Right.
And they generally don't boot people unless it's a pretty egregious kind of thing.
In other words, he was a brilliant artist, and those snobs just didn't understand what they were looking at.
Exactly.
Too avant-garde for their tastes, for the bourgeois tastes of the art club. So it seems as if we are dealing with someone who was, at least at some point, fairly well connected with the art world. But it also seems as if we have a prostitution ring involved. This could go very high. I'm not sure how we should proceed in this matter, but I, like I'm sure the rest of you, felt very strongly when I saw that woman turn around and say, help me. I still don't understand it, and it's still foggy to me, but I feel like we have a sense of duty to her. I'm open to suggestions.
So we're all agreed that really happened.
No. I
Other
think
than
it was just your imagination after a long night of reefer and drinking. But
yeah, but my imagination wouldn't make anyone else see it. I didn't imagine that they saw it.
Or did you?
Well, you're all saying you saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it twice.
have you all compared notes?
Well, I saw things coming out of the shadows towards that dame in the painting. And then she turned around.
Sounds just about
and
right.
she said, help me.
That's exactly what I saw.
And she looked right at me when she said it.
We should have brought the painting with us.
I'm worried about Pearlie's safety in this matter. If we can hold the painting somewhere, but he's going to have to create an alibi because it sounds like this painting is important to whoever he got it from.
What do y'all think of? Should we continue with Pearlie's original task? Should we deliver this painting as if nothing happened, or should we hold on to it?
Pearlie doesn't want to do that right now. At least that's the. He says that he where it's supposed to go, or where it was sold. So for right now, I guess we hold on to it.
Okay.
Is that what Pearlie wants?
Did Pearlie get up and come with us?
No, he's still sleeping. He's at his place.
Yes, the poor man seemed racked with anxiety.
Well, if there's one thing I know, it's that you don't go into any kind of situation without knowing the whys and wherefores. And in this case, we don't know who's asked him to deliver it. We don't know who this guy is that he's taking it to. And I want to know more about this painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still. I agree with Mr. Barkley. I feel like there's just too many unanswered elements to this puzzle. We need to figure out who this Philip Stone gentleman is, for example.
But if Pearlie doesn't make good, he's in a world of hurt.
Exactly.
But he doesn't have a timetable.
He doesn't?
Well, at least they didn't give him.
That's right.
They didn't give him anything, specific.
Yeah, I think I remember him saying that. We have like a few days that we could get it to.
Well, what about this other guy? The guy who tried to strong arm into giving him the painting.
We never asked about that.
Yes. Who was the gentleman that dropped off the painting?
Pearlie didn't say.
Yeah, as I understood it, it was just somebody who wanted the painting, but Pearlie said it wasn't his to give, it wasn't his to sell.
What if he comes back?
Back to Pearlie, you mean?
Yeah. He knows Pearlie has it. He saw Pearlie carry it into his house.
I'm going to look at Johnny with a question mark.
I want to know who he owes this money to. That's where
That's a
I'd
good
like to start.
question as well.
You know, is he owing money to someone who's legit, or there's a lot of these operations where they'll just get someone into debt just so they can use them to run errands.
Mm-hmm.
It was a gambling debt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. Frankie, why don't we take a quick ride around to just to check on him, make sure he's all right. Snooping on the outside, and then around here, if everything's okay.
I think Pearlie's got a lot of information that we could use. Easy place to start.
Well, and if you want to research the artists, then we would want to go to the local museum.
Or the art club.
Well, it might be difficult to get them to talk about the artists since they don't like either one. They might talk about something.
Well, it might be easy to get them to talk, but that's less urgent than finding out about the people who want this painting moved from one place to another.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
So perhaps I can do this if anyone wants to join me, but perhaps I can try and find more information about so I'm sorry, real quick to jump out. Philip Stone, was he the buyer of the painting?
Philip Stone is the gentleman that Pearlie is supposed to take the painting to.
Yes, okay. So perhaps I can find out more information about this Philip Stone fellow who lives up on Beacon Hill, and understand more about the buyer and his proclivities. And then perhaps someone else can go check on Pearlie, get his feel of the situation. Perhaps, since he hasn't been drinking, presumably, he'll be a little bit more cognizant of these things.
Well, I did not see anything in the painting, but I am cooperating you because you are all my friends. What would you like me to do? Where can I fit in?
Well,
I can bring you all coffee.
I was thinking that since you're an artist, you can go down to the museum and maybe ask around. Probably be a bit more comfortable with you and open with you. A bit of information that we couldn't.
Well, then perhaps was Maggie also going to go to the museum?
Yes, I'd like to, but frankly, I don't feel comfortable going with you, Gerard.
Really?
She kind of looks off a little bit.
I look at Frankie like, oh, what's going on here?
Oh, what did we miss last night?
She's like, I would prefer not to. So to kind of break the ice a little bit, Maggie kind of turns to the other gentleman. Well, how about we go to Pearlie's now, see if we can get more information. I'm going to try and see what else I can get out of him about this Philip Stone fellow. And then I'll head over there to his residence tonight and see if perhaps I can get more information on him.
All right.
Hey, Janice, can I ask a question about the
we're heading up.
Sorry, go ahead, Wayne.
No. You go ahead.
I just had a question about the painting itself.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to get a sense. I mean, the art world is a huge world. So, looking at the painting, how would you describe it?
Yes.
Would it be like more like fine art, like Gerard's mentioning museums? Is this something you might see in a museum, or is this like lowbrow art, or?
Well, it's certainly above dogs playing poker.
Okay.
But it is not, at least just looking at it, it is not terribly well executed. It looks like something that you might hang in a living room in a middle-class house that has pretensions to knowing art.
Okay.
It only becomes much more detailed and much more artistic when it's in its moving phase. So just looking at it when it's just being a painting, it's not terribly impressive.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so we're all heading over to Pearlie's.
Yes, and perhaps you all can get more information about the seller, and I can get more information about the buyer. The seller being the gentleman who passed off the painting to Pearlie. So I think that should be kind of our missions.
No, we are not all going. Have fun. Go.
Fine. If you insist.
Well, I'm going over to Pearlie's, but yeah, Frenchie, don't take any wooden nickels.
I shall not take any wooden nickels.
When we're in the car or whatever on the way to Pearlie, I'm assuming we're in the car now and
Sure.
Gerard isn't with us.
Right, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do in a minute.
Okay. All right. Tom, I don't know if you should have your headphones on. Would you mind taking off your headphones?
Give me a thumbs up when.
Okay. So just while we're on the car ride over, I just want to say I'm sorry for that awkward moment back there. I don't believe Gerard is who he says he is. I think he is a liar. I think he is not an artist. I think he is putting on presumption in some sort of guy.
Just hold on a minute there, sister. That's my pal you're talking about.
What
Do you
makes
know
you
more about this Gerard fellow? Because I sure don't. I feel like he has ties to perhaps seedier enterprises, perhaps of the kind that
He's a
you're.
good fellow, that one. I know he's a bit of an oddball, but he's a good guy. You leave him alone. You leave my buddy alone.
Is he?
If Prez speaks for him, I'm for him.
Is he actually an artist, Prez?
Well, you know what they say? Man say him a ting, then him a ting.
Why do I suddenly want spinach now? I'm still harbor some doubts that Gerard is really who he says he is, and I feel like he's just putting on disguise to protect himself from the law. I think he's part of whatever crime underworld that.
I've never known him being involved in any capers.
Well, perhaps I'm wrong, but a woman's intuition is usually right.
Okay.
So, anyways, that's Maggie is harboring suspicions against Gerard. So that's why there's the awkwardness. Okay.
So did that clear the awkwardness, or did that?
Well, it just opened it up for you guys.
That sounds good.
Okay.
I would think that oh yeah, he's got his headphones on.
Okay.
Yeah, you did give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, I
right?
gave him a thumbs up. Yeah, we can get him back in it. So.
No.
Just wanted to keep you guys in the loop on that.
Gerard, where are you going to be going while they go talk to Pearlie?
Well, since they have decided to go in different directions, I'm going to go not to the museum, but to some of the local galleries.
All right.
His art is modern. It's not worthy of a museum. So I'm going to go check around some of the local galleries.
Okay. Are you looking for work by Lambert or by his mentor?
I'm going to mention both Lambert and Pickman.
Okay. All right. You can, I assume you're going to the more sort of progressive little galleries
People who
rather
show
than
some odd and weird
traditional.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Most of them have not heard of Lambert. A couple of them have heard of Pickman in connection with this scandal that happened with the art club.
What exactly was the scandal? Can you tell me?
Well, they said that his work was beyond the pale, but you know how closed-minded and narrow-minded their views are. They're traditionalists.
Of course. Are there any examples of his artwork?
Most of them, I believe, have been bought up by collectors of a certain caliber, if you understand my meaning.
Do you know any of their names? Any famous ones?
Well, I don't know many people outside of Boston and the East Coast, but Philip Stone is certainly always, he's got a standing order for anything that's fairly eclectic.
Ah, Philip Stone. His reputation precedes him.
Some people have said that the reason why they were booted out of the art club didn't have so much to do with their art, but maybe with the fairly close relationship they had with each other.
I see.
Now,
yeah.
People will always talk.
Oui. But to Jeremiah Lambert, you haven't seen any of his work, or?
As I understand it, he was rather more like a cut-rate Pickman. Copied his style not very well, from what I understand.
Perhaps tried simply to shock people.
Yes, exactly. Without much merit or skill or technique.
Well, that is very interesting. Thank you very much.
Of course. All right.
That is very nice over there, yes.
You have an eye for things.
Of course. Thank you very much. And I leave. I try a couple of other galleries asking around as well.
Yeah, you get about the same information. You get the impression that Lambert's artwork is fairly rare. And people know his name in connection with Pickman, but not really much about him or his art per se. So, haven't shown up in galleries, for instance.
All right. At this point, then, I'm going to turn and head back home.
Okay. All right. So you'll probably be gone maybe an hour and a half, about. Okay. Well, you folks all pile into Pearlie's at this late hour. He is just now getting up and having some coffee. He's still in his pajamas and robe and looking kind of scruffy around the edges and very red-eyed from late night. He's got a gig to play later tonight, but that's not going to start until 8 or 9 o'clock. So he's got a couple hours to get some food in him, and he'll open the door and be fairly surprised to see the whole group of you standing there. But we'll welcome you in, ask you if you'd like some eggs or some bacon or coffee.
Darn tootin', I would.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, fix me up a plate.
Yeah.
I didn't even have anything to eat this morning or afternoon.
Yeah.
evening, whatever you want to call it.
He'll fry up some eggs and make small talk, unless you guys start peppering him with questions right away.
No, I'll sit down and enjoy my breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever he wants to call it.
Dinner.
And then we'll have coffee. We'll chat about what happened last night as far as the party and everything like that.
Yeah, talk about the music.
I'm trying to sort of lighten up his mood and get him to laugh a little bit here and there.
Oh, good. Yeah,
and then we can sort of ease into that.
Ease into those questions.
And so, like, I'll start it off by saying that first, it's safe.
He looks relieved. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
But then I'll ask, but I'm curious. This fellow that you had, or you were actually delivering this for.
Yeah. What about him?
I'm sorry, I didn't even get that. But
yes. What about him?
I said, who is he?
Danny Dice?
Would I know Danny Dice?
He runs gambling.
Yeah.
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 Like I said last night, I owe him some money. I got into some trouble with a couple of young ladies. And Danny Dice, he told me that I could get out from under my notes by taking this thing to the fellow up on Beacon Hill.
Did he say why it was worth that much? Just this errand?
I guess it come through a couple people's hands, and Danny basically wanted to be rid of the thing, probably for the same reason that we want to be rid of it.
Who's that fella in the car?
He's a middleman. He works for a lot of other people. His name is Malcolm Weatherton. He runs errands and takes a cut off the top, if you know what I mean.
Well, it looked like he was hassling you last night. Caused you any sort of trouble?
I don't know if trouble's the right word for it. He was persistent.
But he's not the guy he's not the principal here.
Well, I think he represents somebody else who's interested in this thing.
Okay, so we've got sort of a bidders war going on.
Apparently so.
So, would you happen to know who he might be working for?
Could be any number of a handful of people. Could be even someone not even local. New York, maybe, or Paris. I mean, if they've got any idea that this thing can do what it does, then there'd probably be any number of people interested in it.
So
that's some morbid interest.
That leads me to my next question. This piece, coming from my background in art, I can tell it's not particularly, shall we say, a desired item in the traditional sense. Is there some connection that, as to why this piece is so desired? Is it?
Well, you saw something last night, right? He looks a little doubtful, like he's a little fuzzy on some of last night's events.
Yeah, we saw something.
Has anyone talked about stuff like this to you before in your circle?
I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. I mean, sure, I wanted to see what it was. You know, I figured it was some sort of, I don't know, fancy pants painting from Europe or something that they were chasing around, and so many people were interested in it, and didn't look like much of anything to me until he kind of shudders all over a little bit and holds onto his cough helmet.
How did Malcolm know you had?
How did Malcolm what?
How did Malcolm know you had the painting?
I don't know.
Well, how soon after you got the painting did he show up and try to hassle you?
Well, I had it at the club overnight, and I was bringing it back to keep it at my place yesterday, and that's when he rolled up, offered me a ride, and tried to buy it from me. So maybe 24 hours, a little longer.
If I may be so bold, why didn't he just steal it or take it from you forcibly?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he could have if he'd had a gun or something, but frankly, he doesn't really look like the type who'd be carrying hardware. And all I'd have to do is go back and tell Danny Dice that that this fellow picked it off me, and I'm sure he could have sent some strong-armed fellows over to take care of that bit of business. Of course, they would have roughed me up to make sure I wasn't lying to him first.
Mm-hmm.
How much?
But frankly, I got no use.
Sorry.
I got no use for the thing. I don't want it.
Who else
How much
knew
were you into him for? Sorry,
Sorry. Who else knew you had it?
Well, Danny Dice, I got it from him. Probably a couple guys in the band. I didn't show it to anyone, but I didn't make any big secret about carrying it over to the club after I got it. They didn't ask me about it.
How much were you into Danny Dice for?
Couple of big ones.
And he said he'd write that off just for you dropping off this painting?
That's what he told me.
Seems kind of iffy.
He seemed happy to be rid of it, and I don't blame him now that I saw what I saw.
When did you look at it?
Well, I glanced at it when I took it to the club, but didn't really look at it until we were on break between sets. And I'll tell you, I'd like to throw me off my timing, my rhythm, and everything else. I want to be done with this as soon as possible.
And you recognize the girl in the painting?
Yeah. She used to come to the club. I saw her in and out with a bunch of different fellows, so I made some inquiries. I guess this was about a year ago. But it was pretty clear that she was working, not socializing, what I mean. Yeah. Good-looking ladies, high-toned, high-class ladies like that only really come from one source in this part of town. So, I mean, I can't say for sure if she's one of Oleander's girls, but I'm betting 5 to 10 that she probably is.
Could you put us into contact with someone who would know how to get a hold of one of Oleander's girls?
Well, Phil 80 over at 80 Shot Pool Hall, that's a good source. I don't know if he's got a direct connection to her, but he can make arrangements for you if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Okay.
What was that name again?
Phil 80.
Phil 80. Okay.
You can kind of hear the quotes around the 80.
Well, I'm thinking Frankie and I could take a trip down there and look around, poke around. Not literally. We're on business. And perhaps we can come up with something. Aren't you married?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Pearlie, do you happen to know where Mr. Stone's address is on Beacon Hill?
He fishes around in his pocket and he says, well, hold on a second. I've got it in the bedroom. And he'll get up and go into the other room and be gone for a little bit. You can hear him rattling around and moving stuff around, and comes back out and spreads out that little scrap of paper that he showed you last night. That's got Philip Stone's name on it and an address.
Mm-hmm.
As described before, the handwriting is fairly elegant. It looks feminine.
Mm-hmm.
And the scrap of paper is from some sort of expensive kind of stationery. Though it's very creased and kind of worn and grubby since he's been carrying it around for the last 2 days.
Okay. I'm going to copy down the address.
Hey, Pearlie, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When you saw what you saw in that painting, did it speak to you, or did you just see it?
Yeah, I heard something.
Did it was the same as me with the girl asking for help?
Kind of nods.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Takes a big swig of his coffee.
Seems consistent.
Well, what I say, I'm going to go by Mr. Stone's place tomorrow as a reporter, asking to do a write-up on him since he's, sort of a hoity-toity kind of guy. I'm sure, he'll fit in the lifestyle section or whatever the equivalent is. And I don't think it would be appropriate for me to be asking around about these ladies. Might set off the wrong idea. But if you gentlemen want to look into that, and perhaps Prez and Diz, you can, maybe get more information from this Dice fellow, if it would be all right with Pearlie. We ask about that.
Maggie, I never knew a collector who didn't want to talk about his collection.
You make a good point there. Pearlie, would it be all right if we talk with this Mr. Dice fellow?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
He runs Dice team.
Trouble.
Oh, I'm sure if you want to shoot craps, he'll be happy to take your money.
So does this allocation of personages, does this seem amenable to everyone?
Yep. I think we've all got our own avenues that we can apply ourselves to.
Okay. All right, so Maggie's going to kind of hang around and wait for Gerard to come back. But I don't know what the rest of you guys are going to do.
Well, I'm going to assume I'm not going to be there for about another hour.
Quite a while, yeah. So she's just gonna kind of hang around, and if there's anything else to help clean up dishes or whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, Curly looks like he's pretty happy for the company, frankly. Yeah. He's more pulled together than he was last night, but he's still looking kind of, you can tell it's kind of a show. He's still very much rattled deep down inside, so.
I'm gonna take out the quite impressive bundle of business cards that I keep in my jacket pocket, and just shuffle through them, seeing if there's any that I might need in the next couple of days, possibly.
Okay.
Before we split up, can I ask, Diz and Prez, as we're going to be looking into the women, if she's in trouble, is there anything you guys can think of? Like what sort of trouble could a girl like that be in? I mean, is it anything, or do you think? I'm trying to figure out who is she asking for help from? The artist? I find that a little hard to believe. I don't know. I'm just kind of knowing what you guys know. Is there anything you can tell me?
Well, those girls, they tend to work for quite rich guys, by my understanding, and some of those fellas have very unusual tastes, let's say. So your guess is as good as mine when it comes to what kind of trouble she's in. I mean, it could be anything you can think of, and probably quite a lot beyond.
Clients, I guess.
Yeah, I would guess it's something to do with her clients, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with the painter.
Okay. All right. I just wanted another opinion. Thank you.
I mean, if she's still alive, I mean, maybe it's just that she was in danger when it was painted. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how these things work.
It's a good point. I was thinking about that. Janice, is there any way to tell? Is there anything in the painting that would be relative to when it might have been painted?
You can tell, at least from the lighting and the general sense, that it was probably painted springtime.
Okay, so fairly recently.
But
the painting itself is older, though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
From several years back. So.
Yeah.
Oh, several years. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Pearlie had said that the last time he'd seen her was towards the end of 26.
Okay.
Looks like you need to find out when anyone last saw her then.
I'm gonna look to Johnny and say we might have to try to track down this Oleander guy.
Or gal.
That's true. All right.
Okay.
All right, so let's go.
All right.
So try not to get any
Frankie
trouble.
and we head up.
All right. So Frank and John are going over to the pool hall.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
The pool hall.
Okay.
The pool.
Yeah, that seems to be the tentative contact place for, at least as far as Pearlie knows. Prez, what are you and what are Diz? What are the two of you going to do?
Well, I guess we're going to go over and try and have a word with Danny Dice, but
Yeah, I think that's right.
we're going to have to be pretty careful because this guy sounds like a big hitter.
And Maggie, you're going to hang out with Pearlie until Gerard shows up.
Yeah. I need to have a talking to Gerard.
All righty.
And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to see if I can arrange a meeting with Philip Stone under the auspices of doing a newspaper write-up on him to see if I can get any more information on him at his house.
Okay. All right. All righty. I'm not entirely sure what the easiest way is to do this. If you and Gerard want to talk first, or I can.
Well, when I get back, I just go to my apartment.
Okay.
And,
So she's gonna have to come and find you.
Fix myself a light meal and sit near the basement window, looking out onto the street, and smoke my cigarette.
So Maggie hears the door shut, so she knows that he's there, but she's gonna just kind of lightly tap on the door. Gerard, are you in there?
And I go over and I open up the door. What would you like? What do you want?
Gerard, I'd like to apologize. I feel like I didn't get enough sleep and I'm very hungover, and this whole situation has just got me 6s and 7s. So I'd just like to apologize. And I was wondering if you'd like to perhaps join me tomorrow. I'm going to go up to Beacon Hill.
Perhaps.
Would you like to know what we discussed with Pearlie?
Of course, please come inside.
Okay. So I'll kind of give him the lowdown and say what everyone's kind of doing,
Okay.
and then ask, so what did you get up to today? Did you find any information at the museums?
Only that I didn't actually go to the museums. I went to the art galleries to look into Monsieur Lambert and Monsieur Pickman, and of course their names were known, but nothing in particular.
That's smart. There's no way Lambert's work would ever be shown in a museum.
And yet, according to you, it has some very strange properties.
Yes, Gerard. Do you want to come up and look at it? Perhaps this time you'll see what we all saw.
I've looked at it 3 times. I don't see what you're looking at. Perhaps it was a combination of the alcohol and the weed. Perhaps it was simply a trick of the light.
Gotta work in the title there, yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, nothing. Well, that's your decision, but I feel very deeply affected by this. And as you can tell, the work is derivative and, fairly bourgeois. So I normally would not feel this way about it. But how can you deny that 4 people, 5 including Pearlie, have all seen this? And why do you suppose that there is this gigantic bidding war on this thoroughly banal piece of art? Why would anyone be interested in buying this? Philip Stone can afford, Da Vinci sketchings. Why would he want this, piece that my parents in Springfield would gladly hang on the formal dining room?
But perhaps you are right. I am. Perhaps it was the alcohol and the drugs that have affected me as well. I am still feeling a great deal of resentment towards you. You embarrassed me in front of my friends, and perhaps give me a while to think it through, and perhaps tomorrow morning we shall be friends again.
I absolutely agree. I acted terribly, and I'm very sorry. But I'm just kind of grappling with this situation, and perhaps I lashed out at you. I've just heard things, and I don't like to consort with people who are involved in enterprises that are not on the lawful side of things.
You should get used to it. In this part of town, almost everything anyone does is unlawful in some way. And there is something to be said for a little bit of unlawfulness.
I hope we're talking about the same thing.
All of it. I saw you drinking last night, and as far as I know, there's prohibition.
Yes, that's true. But as we know, that law is going to be on its way out. I'm sure of it. Well, anyways, Gerard, I will let you get some rest. I just wanted to apologize for my conduct earlier. That was very unbecoming. I'm sure Pearlie would let you look at the art later on if you like, but I will bid you adieu.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe. All right, John and Frank.
For those who are my fans, it's a pencil.
It looks very realistic.
I know. I was surprised how good it looks.
You can hop into Frank's car and go over to the even more seedier side of town. I don't know if either of you are actually familiar with this place, if you shoot pool at all. But if not, you can ask around and find out where it is. It's not hard to find.
I think I've been here
Yeah,
once or
Frankie
twice.
and I, yeah, we've been here before.
Yeah.
This is definitely a room full of masculinity. There is cigar and cigarette smoke in a big haze over the pool tables. Even some old brass spittoons set aside in the corners from the old days. Sawdust on the floor. The bar is a plank of wood thrown over a couple of barrels, and a lot of freeloaders here, people not dressed too well, a couple of fellows that are probably pool hustlers or dressed a little more sharply. And you've got a mix of all sorts of people here. There are day laborers and a fellow in a evening suit that is sleeping off drunk from the night before in the corner. But the only thing in this place that is kept neat and tidy are the pool tables. They are beautiful. The wood's all polished, the felt's just brushed, and the balls and the cues are kept in really good condition. The rest of the place looks like it might fall down in a strong wind. It's pretty dilapidated, but boy, those pool tables, they are gorgeous.
Nice. That's where the money is. You gotta take care of that, yeah.
Exactly.
And there are a couple of guys sort of practicing, not really shooting for money or playing a game, but mostly kind of hanging out and chatting and occasionally taking a pot shot at putting a ball in a corner pocket. Place, at least now, probably doesn't get jumping for a good long while, so it's pretty quiet now and not too many people here.
All right.
So what do you think, Johnny? We probably need to talk to whoever's in charge.
Yeah, I'll let you take the lead, since you're interested in actually procuring one of these young ladies.
Yeah,
Hypothetically.
there's a fellow behind the bar. He's pretty broad. There's a baseball bat leaning up against behind one of the barrels. He's flipping through a comic book.
How am I going to do this? Good afternoon, sir.
Let's start off.
Should we get a table?
What do you think? You're up. I mean, like, you think we're uptown somewhere, man? No. Let's see what he has behind the bar, or something. If he has whiskey, be a little top shelf. I'm not saying this too loud. But yeah, let's start off by buying a drink and chatting up the barkeep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, what's your poison?
Do you have any whiskey?
Furniture polish?
Sure.
Make it 2.
He reaches down and pulls up a couple of little shot glasses that are not too terribly clean, and reaches into a wooden crate that is sitting on the floor near his feet and uncorks a bottle and pours a couple fingers in. And
does it smell like fingernail polish?
it smells like something chemical. It's probably got some kind of alcohol in it.
All right. I'll be the brave one first, and I'll take a shot. Do that. I'll say, this is, I mean, last night was pretty good. We house, I guess that's the term that we'll use. And here's to trying to find some nice young ladies tonight. And I'll clink my shot glass with you, Frankie.
Yeah.
Toss one back.
Yeah, it burns going down.
Do I die instantly?
It ain't smooth. He kind of sizes.
I'll pull out a couple of coins and put plink them down on the table, and I'll ask for another shot too.
Well, that kind of surprises him, but he'll pour you another one. He sort of sizes you both up and down and says, how much you're looking to spend?
I look at Frankie.
What's on your top shelf?
You two don't look like you've got the scratch for top shelf. Unless you're planning to share.
Look at Johnny. Well, it's an idea. So maybe not top shelf.
How about like the third shelf from the top?
Well, arrangements can be made. You're not looking for a specialty act, are you?
No, just the usual.
All right. Well,
for me anyway.
He slides his eyes over to Johnny.
Well, yeah, Frank, like, hey, this is your rodeo.
So how do we do this? Do we talk to you? Is there someone else we need to talk to?
Well, he scrounges around in a back pocket and pulls out a little black book and thumbs through the pages, and he says, well, you're looking for cheap, you can call this number. He scratches it on a little script paper. If you're looking for something a little more quality, you can call this number. And if you're looking for top shelf, then I might be able to arrange something a little more personal for you and direct.
I have a question. I mean, this is sort of outside of in a painting. Did she think that was top shelf, middle, or sort of lower?
Very pretty. looked to be maybe 23 or 24. Definitely a high-class gal.
Well, then I'll look at Frank and I'll say, well, last night did pay a little well. Why don't we just go all out, man? You only live once, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah. Why don't we go for the top shelf? Treat ourselves.
Literally.
All right. He thumbs through his book. You had a preference for blondes, brunettes, redheads.
What did the girl in the painting have?
She was blonde.
Yeah, I'm going to say I have certain tastes, and I'll try to describe what I saw in the painting.
Ah, okay. Well, he doesn't pay too much attention to what you're saying until you get a little bit further into the description, and then he kind of looks up sharply at you. We can find you something like that. Not exactly like that. That girl, she's not working anymore.
Oh, no?
No.
Oh, damn, that's a shame. As the two of them are talking, I will quickly look around the room to see if anybody's listening in to our conversation.
Doesn't appear to.
Wait.
They're not really paying that
All
much
right.
attention to you. So,
Okay.
you're looking for something that caliber then?
Well, I've heard talk of this girl, and that's why I was curious. So you're
She's
saying
special.
she's not available?
But we're likely to be able to turn up something pretty close. Now, the lady that runs these girls, she needs to make sure they're going to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. When you want to meet, where'd you like this girl to come? You got a hotel? You got a place?
Yeah, we could use my place.
To make sure your wife isn't home.
Trying to think, should we set up for tonight or tomorrow night? How about tomorrow night?
All right. He'll give you a little scrap of paper to jot down your address on.
Yep, I'll give my address.
And he says, I'll try to find you somebody that's a close match.
So you said she. Are we going to be only dealing with you, or are we going to get to deal with her?
Well, Miss Oleander, she doesn't normally meet with people face up, but you got enough scratch to spend. You want something real specific, something caters to unusual tastes, then you might have to talk to her directly about something like that. Otherwise I can set you up with one of her girls.
How much dough are we talking?
20?
Let's come out of your
I
cut.
look at you, Frankie.
That's a lot of
Coming
money.
out of my cut. Look,
That's a lot of money in the 20s.
I know. I look at you. I'm like, look, it's because I'm not married and you are, man. Doesn't mean that you like I have all this money in the world. All right. Well, I'll come up with it.
All right.
You owe me one, man. Okay, and I'm paying for. Now you owe me.
part of it. We're going in on together.
Hey, Miss Oleander's girls, they're well worth the money.
All right. Again, you only live once, right? All right, so let's set it up then.
Okay. Well, he'll get the address from Frank. He'll say what time is going to work for you two gentlemen.
2 a.m.
All right. Jots that down in his little book. What names would you like to go by?
I've never done this before, so I'll say Frankie.
Harry and Sam.
Harry and Sam. All right. Mr. Harry, Mr. Sam. She'll be there. Right on the dot. Cash only. Up front.
Okay. Thank you. I'll ask for another drink before we leave.
Okay. Cross your fingers. Hope you don't go blind. It's pretty rasty stuff. It's like turpentine. But the bartender's impressed that you drank 3 of them.
Am I stumbling on the outside?
Yeah. Frankie can throw an arm around your shoulder and make sure you don't fall over your own feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm still saying you owe me one.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I'm going to presume you folks are going to go and get ready for your gig tonight, since you're probably playing.
Yeah.
It's getting fairly late.
Yeah.
So. All righty. We'll send you guys off to do that. So, Prez and Diz, your guys are going to go talk to Danny Dice.
Okay. So Diz, what's the plan here? I mean, are we just going to go in and ask to talk to him, or are we going to play some dice?
I think we should scope the place out first, but my inclination is to be straight with him. He might have, if he was, hooched out by that painting, he might be wanting to talk about it.
Okay, but just be wary. This guy's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, that's what they say. But so let's check it out first, and then decide whether we want to try to go straight or at an angle.
Okay, well, just in case it comes down to it, just between you and me, I'm strapped. So you know.
Okay. So we'll go into the joint and take a look around and maybe play for a little bit.
Okay.
See what's there. We're looking for where the heat is.
Okay.
And where his office is, and just the general layout and atmosphere.
It is not, as you can well guess, a particularly high-end gambling establishment. There are mostly card games going on here. The door on the back side's got a place where they can drop a bar in case they're raided by the police. They've got a couple of bolts to go out the back. Of course, there's booze here. Not too many women, surprisingly. It seems to be very much focused on parting people from their hard-earned cash. There are a couple of slot machines in the back. You don't see any dice being played here, but that's probably either in the back room or someplace else where the rollers are. But it's busy, it's low-key. They definitely have some big muscle guys sort of hanging out in the corners and walking around between the tables, keeping an eye on things. They are carrying, for those of you that are good at spotting that sort of stuff or looking for it, they're definitely carrying some heavy hardware under their coats. They are not wearing suits tailored to hide weapons. They're just sort of there. And you get an occasional glimpse of them as they pass by. And it seems pretty orderly, not at all rowdy, pretty quiet. Not a lot of yelling and shouting. People are fairly well-mannered, and anyone who isn't probably gets whacked on the head with a big stick and tossed into the alley.
So they're serious about what they're doing.
They are serious. It doesn't look, at least what you're seeing on the tables, to be terribly high stakes.
Okay.
Which means that there's probably some rooms in the back where the high rollers are.
Is there a manager on the floor? Somebody
There is.
The running place.
Yeah. There's a fellow there.
Does he
He's
look
in a
like the description of Dice?
I don't know how much of a description you got from Pearlie, but this guy is short, broad-chested, wearing a bright checkered shirt with a short cigar kind of perched in the corner of his mouth. So he kind of swaggers around like he owns the place, which he probably does. But he definitely does not. He looks kind of more lower class than most of the people here who are playing.
Looks like he might be the guy then.
Yeah.
Kind of leaning against the bar with his elbows against it.
I think we should go straight in. What do you think, Prez?
Yeah, better to be up front.
Yeah, it'll be a lot less likely to get us hurt.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. We know where the door is.
All right, we'll approach the checkered gentleman.
Okay. He has to look up because he's shorter than both of you.
He's not shorter than me.
Well, maybe not. He's not a midget, so he'll look you in the eye, but he'll look up at Prez, who's probably taller than him, and kind of raise an eyebrow and wait to see what it is that you wanna say.
I take it from your attire that you're Dice.
Reaches into his shirt pocket and pulls out a couple of pair of dice and sort of rattles them in his hand. And says, "Got that right, Bucko? You two looking to play?"
Not really. We are actually looking to talk. We're friends of Pearlie's.
Oh, he's a good customer of mine.
So we hear.
Yeah.
Not so
you got
lucky
a few minutes? We'll make it worth your while.
for sure.
Can we step off the floor where it's a little quieter?
All right, gentlemen, follow me. He motions to one of the bruisers who falls in behind the three of you, but he'll stand outside the office door, and he takes you back into this small, cramped little room that's piled high with papers and girly magazines and pinup calendars, and it's a real little rat's nest back here.
Nice little place you got here.
He squeezes in behind the table and will shove some papers aside if you guys want to sit.
Okay.
Leans
Also
back in his chair, puts his feet on the desk, and kind of turns sideways to look at both of you.
So let me introduce myself. My name's Diz Artisani, and I hand him a business card. And you've seen the business cards. So
Nice.
if you're ever in New York way, come see me.
Which family are you with?
I'm independent, actually. Still.
Oh. Well, that says something. I'm not sure what, but it says something.
We were looking for a little bit of information that you might be able to share with us.
Maybe.
We had a look at that painting that Pearlie had.
He's still got it. See, he's supposed to be taking it over to someone.
Yeah, he's busy. He's been busy since last night, and he's booked tonight. So he was planning on doing it the next couple of days.
Good. All right.
So did you take a look at that painting?
Not particularly good. I mean, from what you can see of the girl, she's kind of a dish, but I guess if you like that stuff, my tastes more run to little less clothing.
So does he look like he's spooked at all?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we was kind of wondering where it came from. You know, the Pearlie's a little concerned about the.
Well, nothing illegal about it, if that's what you're thinking.
No. He just wants to know what kind of trouble he might be courting.
Well, as long as he plays by the rules and does what he's supposed to, he's not going to be in any trouble at all.
Well, he certainly plans to do that. At least that's what he said.
Yeah, good boy.
But you may not know this, but somebody else has already expressed an interest in that painting.
Really? That thing is ugly.
Yeah.
It's ugly.
Well, yeah, but somebody else wants it.
Well, if Pearlie knows what's good for him, he's not going to turn it over to anybody else but the fellow that wants it.
Oh, well, he knows it. That's why we're telling you about it.
Do you say how
And
much
that's
he
why
was?
he plans to tell you about it too when he comes and reports that he's delivered the painting.
Did he say how much he was offered for it? He gets this kind of shrewd look in his eye.
Oh, he didn't tell me. Prez, do you remember? Did he say anything to you about that?
He didn't name a figure, but I got the feeling it was the fellow was feeling quite generous.
Do you want him to hold back?
Well,
Talk to the other.
I might be able to help that fellow out if he's looking for more of the same.
You got a line on more of this stuff?
Maybe.
A lot more? Or just a few? Or?
Wouldn't say a lot, but
Well, you know, hypothetically.
all right. Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, if a man had a number of in-demand paintings and there were 2 or more parties interested in those paintings, a man might be well served to have some of those paintings copied by a relevant expert, and then all parties involved could be well satisfied with the dealings, especially if they were the kind of items that people didn't want to broadcast they had. Just
Oh, you're talking my language here. Talking my language. You got a line on someone who could do that kind of work?
I know a few people, but it might take a few days to get the right person. You know, and then they'd have to see the paintings because they've got to get the right materials. They've got to. Everything's got to look legit, you know.
Well, my brother-in-law, he's strictly legit, and he's got some buildings over by the waterfront that he rents, and sometimes people leave without paying, and then whatever's left, of course, he's got to make some money on. Now, it could be, now we're speaking hypothetically here, it could be that he might have maybe one or two more of something that looks kind of like the same sort of thing that Philip Stone's looking to buy. And if, you know, if there's more than one or two or maybe three floating around, I'm sure there's some cabbage to be made.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. I mean, if something like that were to take place, I would imagine the guy arranging it would only want a small commission.
Well, that'd be fair.
Just an
Something
honest
for something for the arranging, something for the fellow who's gonna do the work.
So, how do you reckon a fellow might go about arranging to see some paintings like that?
Well, I have to talk, of course, to my brother-in-law, but you line up things on your end, and I'm going to want to talk to whoever it is that it's going to be making artistic interpretations of the originals, and then we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, I think I've got an artist in mind.
Good.
I think I've got someone in my eye.
And then we can make a little money.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, well, if there's at least two people interested in these paintings, it'd be interesting if there might be more buyers out there.
Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't think much of it, but you know, just slap a couple of blues and reds and yellows on a sheet of canvas, and somebody's bound to pay something for it.
Well, you know, if it looks right, it's got the right name on it. All that gives it value is the fact that someone believes it is what they're told it is.
I like
So,
the way
the
you're.
way I look at it, a transaction like this, all we're really doing is just making more people happy.
I like the way you think. Maybe you ought to talk to Pearlie if you get your artist friend. Maybe he can, well, you know, make a copy of the one Pearlie's got for posterity. I mean, we wouldn't want it.
Yeah. I mean, it might take a little while to arrange that. I mean, I know you have to wait for these things to dry and things, but it's a slow process. But yeah, I'll ask my guy, see what he thinks.
Good.
Get him to have a look at it.
Good.
Okay. Well, look, I'll get back to you in the next couple of days.
That would be great. And
Track some people down, and we'll arrange something.
yeah. Once we get everything in line, then I'll get in touch with my brother-in-law, and we'll see if he got anything else out of that empty place.
How did you get in touch with Stone?
Oh, well, everybody knows him.
Yeah, so he's got a running order for this kind of stuff.
He's got a reputation in certain quarters for eclectic items.
I get you. Collect
Ugly painting to half-naked women.
Well, mostly, yeah.
Anybody else interested in the same sort of thing? I mean, there's obviously somebody else out there. Do you know who that might be?
Well, anybody with money and a lot of time on their hands, they're looking to fill that time. Now, this Stone fella, I'm sure he knows other people who got tastes similar to his. But
this other guy has hired Malcolm Weatherton to look for paintings.
Well, there's big money there somewhere. I wish I could get a piece of that action.
Well, you never know.
So you don't know who he might be working for?
Could be any of a dozen people. Could be somebody not even in Boston.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be back in the next couple of days as
Yeah, then we'll
advertised.
get things arranged. We'll bait the hook and see if any of the big fish bite.
That sounds all right. You understand, you'd be putting the majority of the work, so I'm not greedy.
Oh, I'm sure we'll come to a mutually satisfactory arrangement.
Well, we got to make sure our artist friend can do this thing.
Yeah.
Well, you have him take a look at that one that Pearlie's got, and maybe he can take some photographs and work from some photographs.
Well, he might need to look at the others in order to be able to really tell if he can do it.
Well,
see, the more of the paintings that the artist sees, the more of the feel he gets for that artist's work.
Yeah.
The more
well, I don't know
copies
how many more of these things my brother-in-law's got. I know he's got at least one more. Of course, he's looking to capitalize on it because he's out a couple months' rent. So.
Yeah, well, that's twice as many as we've got now.
You get it all set up. You make sure that whoever this fellow is that's going to do the work, he's a trustworthy sort. We don't want this getting around. And we'll set something up.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Sticks his hand out and shakes hands with you.
Yep, I'll do the same.
Dollar signs dancing above his head.
Don't get up, we'll see ourselves out.
The big guy out front will open the door for you when he hears you moving around the office and gives you a little nod as you pass by.
How you doing, sweetheart? And off.
And off you go.
Yep.
All right. Maggie, are you going to go back and try to get some work done this evening, or are you going to just hang out for a while? Pearlie's got a gig, so he's going to be leaving around 9 o'clock to...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't set up any contact or
Okay.
getting back in touch with the guys afterwards, which
All right.
she's thinking like, oh shoot, I should have done that. But what I think she's gonna do is just stop by the jazz club tonight because she knows that the two jazz players are going to be playing, and just kind of get an idea of where they're at.
All right.
See if she can try and get a hold of Present Diz. Maybe she can
All right.
find a number somewhere.
All right.
From someone to get a hold of them in the morning, just so she has an idea of what sort of angle to go with when she calls Philip to try and arrange a meeting.
I'm going to assume that Frank and John let everyone else know where they were playing tonight in case and see you or whatever. So Maggie will hie herself off to the club. What about you, Gerard? Are you going to hole up in the basement?
I've had a light dinner, and I've tidied up my place, and I've kept a look out the window to see what's going on, if people are coming and going.
Okay.
So you said that Pearlie leaves about 9 o'clock?
Yeah. He's going off. He's got a gig to play tonight, so. And probably won't be back until 1 a.m., sometime after midnight at least, at the earliest, probably closer to 1 or 2.
Right.
So.
I'm not sure exactly that I want to discuss in front of all of these people what I want to do.
The tables have turned.
I'll tell you what. I'll email you later on.
Okay.
And,
All right.
We're almost at the end of the evening anyway.
We are indeed. All right. Prez and Diz, are you guys going to go to Frank and John's nightclub, or are you going to turn in for the night? What else are you going to do as we close out this afternoon?
I think I'm going to pay a late night call to Gerard.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'd like to go along on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up a bottle of something from a guy I know.
All right.
Something nice.
Okay. Sounds like we'll have just about enough time for you guys to go and chat with him before we wind up this evening.
What? When are you guys coming over?
Oh, we're coming over right now.
But I mean, in the game.
Oh, what time is it now?
You guys talked to Pearly for about an hour. It's probably around 9 o'clock would be my guess.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll turn up about 9:30 after we.
So as Pearly's leaving, you guys come downstairs?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Bearing a very nice bottle of bourbon.
Mm.
Bit of
Oh, gentlemen, please come inside.
pre-prohibition stuff.
Please come inside.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Ah, monsieur, I'm quite well. So what have you been up to today?
Well, we went to see this Danny Dice fella.
Hmm.
And well, we discovered that he's got more of these paintings.
Really?
Yeah. Seems his brother-in-law owns a place that used to be the artist's studio, and the artist skipped out without paying his rent.
Because his stuff is ugly.
Well, it may be the case, but it's ugly but in demand. Now, we kind of had a chat with this fella and led him to believe that we had the wherewithal to, how would I put it, make some sensitive reproductions of these decidedly inferior paintings.
You could hire a small schoolgirl to do this for you.
Well, we'd rather hire an artist. You know, an artist of, I don't know, your caliber.
Oh, I'm a sculptor, monsieur, not a painter.
Oh, no, I'm not saying necessarily that you'd actually have to do the work. You'd just have to, for the time being, play the role of someone who's prepared to do the work.
Oh.
Perhaps just until we can find, we may have to find someone to actually do it, but you know, I don't like actually having to do the work in return for the money. I just like thinking that I'm going to do the work in return.
So you are hoping more to procure the paintings?
Or at least see them.
Or at least bring them out into the open, see what we're dealing with. If he thinks he's going to make money through this, then I think it gives us an in. I mean, if this other guy who wants to buy the painting, the guy other than Stone, if he's offering enough money, then hey, we could do it for real. But at the moment, I'm just thinking that if we're going to find out what's going on, let's just let him think that we can copy the paintings. It gives us a little while, at least a week or so.
And two things we get out of this. We get to see the paintings, other paintings, and we get to see the guy's apartment.
Yeah.
I don't see why that you want to see more ugly paintings and the painter's apartment, but why?
Well, yeah, aren't you in the least bit curious?
Oh, I
why
forget. You think there is a woman trapped inside the painting?
No.
I just think that we all saw some. I mean, you didn't see it, but we all saw it.
I didn't drink as much as you did.
Maybe you should have done.
My friends, I love you. I will go on with whatever you wish. I would be your artist.
Excellent. If anyone
Great.
can play the role, it's you. Hey, you got one of those. Oh, what you got? One of those. What do you call them? Those little flat, round French hats.
Beanie.
Yeah, you got one of those.
French beanie.
Barrett?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, Barrett.
Yeah, we need to get you one of those Barretts so you look like a proper artist.
All right. What, you don't think I look like a proper artist? I'm probably in a silk bathrobe with.
Of course, you look like a proper artist, but you need to look like some cheap hood's
Painter.
idea of a proper artist. Is what I mean.
As you
You
wish.
look like a proper artist. We need you to look like some hood's crazy idea of an artist. No offense.
Well, I'm in. I'm always in, as long as there's something for me in it.
Yep, I think we might, if all goes well, we might be able to get to the bottom of this problem, help Pearly, and
Dude.
make ourselves a few bucks on the side.
Well, then I want 33% of any money that you make.
Well, after costs.
All right, after costs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's a deal.
All right.
Excellent. My tuberculosis is my bond.
Oh, Jesus Christ. If the cigarettes won't kill you, the tuberculosis will. The consumption.
You'll be fashionably pale. What are you complaining about?
Oh.
Wrong period. Sorry. That's 1890s.
So we chit chat for a while.
Yep.
Are you guys going to stay over? Are you gonna sleep here? Are you gonna go?
I'll head back to my house eventually.
Okay.
My ruined house.
Yeah, after we get this set up, back to the hotel.
Yes, we were all up last night so late. I'm just ready to drop.
Yep, same here. I got a lot of thinking to do. I got some thinking and some plotting and some planning to do.
So, did we make any plans to get together tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we should. Maybe I'll pop round about 2ish tomorrow afternoon. That'll give us
I will be here if somebody wants to drop by.
And I'll swing by Dice's place and let him know that we have an artist lined up and we're ready to talk.
Okay.
Oui.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Bon.
Interested to find out what the others have got up to.
Yeah, I'll stop by the jazz club and kind of see where they're at, and then maybe I'm assuming. So you guys are staying at a hotel because you guys are from New York, right? So I probably would have gathered that. So I'll see if I can ring up at the hotel, maybe leave you guys a message or something. You can get back in touch with me. We'll just try and coordinate it around. So roughly, we're all meeting up at 2:00 tomorrow.
Yeah.
At
Gerard's place.
Gerard's place.
I am still so angry. I can hear that Maggie Townsend's voice in my head.
It'll get to you. It'll get to you down the road. I have to send it by carrier pigeon.
All right.
Yeah, and it'll be easy to coordinate with Frank and John because they're at the club where you are. So, you can easily get in touch with them and plan on meeting at Gerard's at 2:00 the next day.
Well, and I was also going to see if Gerard wanted to come with me to Philip's place, but
Okay.
we'll see. I might have to get him to pose as a photographer or something. So we'll have to see.
Hey, I've got a business card for that if you need to.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right. So shall we call it there?
This sounds like a great stopping point with everything on tenterhooks.
All right. Our players included Steve Hill, Jeff Wilkins, Troy Wheeldryer, Mick Swan, Wayne Worthy, and myself with Janice Hill as the Keeper of the Secrets. Our musical intro, Jubilee Stomp, was performed by Duke Ellington and his Cotton Club Orchestra. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a rich listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. We have a new patron tonight, Paul Hotchkiss, who has pledged $3 a month. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month will help us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We love hearing from you. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.